Alrighty, so we are looking at Code.org's Unit 3, Lesson 8 for Computer Science Discoveries. The previous lesson was on loops, but in a very kind of basic way, just showing, hey, the program will loop. Today, we're going to do a little activity that would normally have been done in person together, but because that's not an option, we're just going to go through it together in this video, and I'll pause it in places for you to try and answer the questions on your own. Okay? So normally we would have had this sheet printed out, this activity guide printed out with us, and then also you'd have a sheet that looks something like this. Maybe I print it out, maybe like I've done here, instead of printing it out, I just have it, you write it out, where you have a labels section, a values section on the bottom. I didn't label it on my paper, but like a place to do some work in case there's a little bit of, math you need to do with this, okay? So that's where we're at. All you really need to do if you want to work on this with us is just set up some blank sheet of paper that looks kind of like this. You have a space for labels, a space for values, a little pad of Post-its, or even just some paper that you ripped up, some scrap paper that you ripped up to use on that paper as your labels and values. That's all you really kind of need. Okay, so for this, what the heck? Actually, I kind of do want to zoom in. For this activity, we're going to be working just together to see what ends up happening in these different mini programs, sample programs. We have the setup. So there's one thing. Here's a couple of rules. I guess not one thing. There's 5 things. Your label cards, which are your Post-its or your little scraps of paper, depending on what your setup is at home, should only ever have one connection, right? So you have a label, a variable, and it can only hold onto one set of information, right? A variable can hold on to a sprite, which has an X, a Y, and an animation. So it can hold on to a bunch of pieces of information, but it can only hold on to one thing that holds a bunch of information in it. You cannot create the same label card twice. You can't have 2 variables of the same name. This is just kind of like following the rules that we have for programming anyways. You must create a new value card for every equals command, or really instead of equals, this is to give the value, or the assign command, right? Value cards only have one number written on them. So value cards would be what goes on this side over here. They should only have one number on them, though if we get to a sprite, it might have more than a number, right? If it's holding on to multiple pieces of information. And any value card not connected to a label card at the end of a command, we throw out. Okay? So here's how we do it. We're going to run the program in order by following the steps for each command. Step 1, you want to find or create all the label cards and connectors. If the command starts with variable, you're going to create a new label card with the name that comes before the assign value, the equal sign. You should also give it a connector so that you'll use it on later. I'm really probably just going to either use these pencils in my connector. You could get a piece of string, or you could even just draw it on the paper too. It's whatever you want. If the command does not start with var, then you need to find the label card with that name and the value that it has. Now, you have to make a connection to it. Step 2, calculate the number for your value card. Copy what's on the right side of the space onto a new value card that you'll put in. Cross off any variable labels, replace them with the value numbers connected to them. Do any calculations adding or subtracting on the numbers. Write down the final number on the new card. Connect your label card and value. Place your new card in the value section. You put it down, make the connection, and then finally any things that are left over you remove. All right, so that was a lot, but as I go through this for the first 1 or 2, I'll do it without asking you to do it on your own. You'll kind of see how we're going to do this. Okay, so we're going to try it out. There's already, whoops, this has the answers on it. Let's go to this one, which is blank. So I'm going to move this little Post-it note over here just so I can have the width and the height written on this. Okay, so here's our program. It starts with the first step is on the first line, right? Because programs go from the first line down until we get to looping, where it will spin eventually. It said var width equals 10. So actually what I'm going to do here is, no, not those. On this, because it said var width, that means we're making a new variable, a new label, and its name is width. So I'm going to, maybe that'll go away for a while. Let's put that on the bottom for now. I'm going to make a new variable, and its name is width. So on my first little label card here, it's called width. And then over here it says that the width is equal to 10. So I'm actually going to take my post-it and to save so I don't have to make a post-it every time. On my value side now, I'm putting that post-it down. Whoops. Putting that post-it down. I'm going to have 10, and I'm going to make a connection between width and 10. So the width variable is holding on to the value 10, right? That's what we're doing so far. That's it, right? That's all we have done for this first line. There's nothing left on this first line, so we move on to the second line. Var height is equal to 20 plus width. So over here, I'm going to make a new variable name called height, and it was equal to, so I'm going to make a connector to what it's going to be equal to, and it's going to be equal to 20 plus the width. So we got to come back over here and we got to say, all right, well, I know it's going to be, and I'll use, hold on, I'll make this post a little smaller. I'm going to use 20 plus the width, but that is not a final value that my height can hold, right? 20 is a number that I can hold, but width, I need to go, okay, well, where in my program, here's my width variable, it's holding on to 10, so this really is going to look like, instead of 20 plus width, it's really going to be 20 plus 10, because the width variable is holding on to 10. And really, at the end of it, 20 plus 10 makes it 30. So actually, at the end of things, I've got two variables, one named width, who is holding on to a value of 10, and one named height, who, after we did a little bit of calculations there, checking from previous variables in the program, it ends up holding on to the value 30. So when we get to our final ending state over here, we're going to have a width of 10 and a height of 30. Can I zoom in on this at all? Can I make this font bigger? No. That is unfortunate. Really? Yeah. All right. Whatever. Can I zoom? Oh, that's not what I wanted to do. No. What are you doing? Does that make it smaller again? All right. Can I just write in the form here itself, actually? Can I write here? No, I can't. Well, it's 10 and 30. Sorry, it's kind of hard to see. Let's keep moving on though. Alrighty. Program number 2. Did this give the answer? No. Okay. So they're showing a little bit of like how to get started, but we're just going to do it together over here. So I'm going to clear out my board, get rid of my connectors, get rid of my width and my height post-it. I won't throw them out yet because maybe there's another one later on that uses that. And these, the 10 and the 30, they'll go away for now. I'll add this over here, and let's get started trying to go through this program step by step. So we only actually looks like we only ever have one variable. It's just size. So on line 1, we make a variable whose name is size. So let's start by doing that right away over here. I'm going to make a new variable whose name is size. That's great. And then the second part of this line is that I assign size the value of 30. So on my other post-it over here, I'm going to get the value 30, and connect it. So now the size variable is holding on to the value of 30. Let's keep going. On the next line, line 2, I say size, but it's not var size, so I don't make a new variable, but I say that size is equal to 60. So what that means is I'm going to make a new value card here. I'm going to set the value card to 60, and size is now, instead of going to be holding on to this value anymore, its connector is going to go to the 60. Size is holding on to 60 instead of 30, and this, at the end of this line, is just going to get crumpled up and thrown away because it's not being used anymore, right? Anything in the value side at the end that's not connected to anything, it's just gone. So our size variable is now holding on to the value 60 from line 3. Sorry, from line 2. Now we go on to line 3, and it says size is equal to size plus 5. So we'll do that work maybe just on a separate little post-it over here. Actually, I'll just use this one. Size is equal to, is given the value size plus 5, right? Yep, so on the right side of the equal sign is where we do our arithmetic, where we do our math, or, you know, our calculations. So size, I'm going to look at my program for the variable size. It's holding on to 60, so this is really going to get substituted with 60 plus 5. And on the left side of the equal sign, I'm not using it. I'm assigning whatever math I do here to that variable. So I've got size is equal to, is being assigned the value 65. So I've got to put a new value sign up here because we found that the right side of this, right, the original command, the original line was size is given the value size plus 5. On the right side, we do the math first before doing anything else. After doing that math, we saw here that it ends up at 65, so I need to add a value of 65. And then the last thing I do is assign size that value that we just calculated. So now I have a new connector going to 65. This gets crumpled up and thrown out. That was a horrible throw. So there we go. We end this with saying that size has the value 65. So if I was going to do my little horrible post-it note that you can barely probably even see, especially if you're looking at this on like a phone or something, the ending state would be that size is equal to 60. I gotta do something. Maybe I can do Notepad or something. I'm not gonna mess around with it. All right, let's keep going. Program number 3. So, you know, using this paper and stuff is great for helping out, right? If you need help with it. But you can also just kind of like use some scrap paper to get this work done, right? So I'm going to come back over here, and maybe I will use this little notepad thing. Or let's just open a Word document. I know I can zoom in on Word documents. Come on. Come on. I will. Can I get rid of you? Oh, I can make you not float on top anymore. Don't float on top. Now you're gone. Word is coming up. Let's go. Let's go. There we go. I don't want to see that. I don't want this to be full screen. I want to make it pretty teeny tiny. And all right, let's get to it. So program number 3, let's start doing this one. I have a variable whose name is age. So I'm going to, and it's being set the value 11. So usually when I do this, I'll do like a little table. Alrighty. Let's make this table a lot smaller. And zoom in on this guy. Okay. So I have a variable whose name is, or maybe I'll say like, you know, label and value here. The label of my variable is age, and the value is holding on to 11 currently. Great. On line 2, I make a new variable whose name is height, and it is holding on to the value 60. And then on line 3, we say age is equal to age plus 1. So it's going to look for, you know, it's going to do, again, the work on, oops, I got to make this guy float on top. Window, not bring to front, Word. Can you float on top at all, buddy? View. Whatever. I just won't click here. Age, I always do the right side of it first. So I'm going to look for age in my label value tables over here. And it's currently 11. So I know that I'm doing 11 plus 1 as my work over here, right? 11 plus 1 is my little workspace. 11 plus 1, which I know is going to be 12. And then I take this value 12, and it says you're going to take whatever I did over here and assign it to age. So age is now going to lose 11, and instead it's holding on to 12. Same thing with height. it was equal to height plus 5. Height before was 60 plus 5, so that's going to make it be 65. And then after doing that work on the right side, height is going to be equal to 65. So the value is 65. We got to the end of our program. That's the end of line 4. So the final value for age is 12. The final value for height is 65. That's it. Let's keep going on to program number 4. Let's reset our table here and our values over here. Okay, variable x position. So on my label here, I'm going to make x position, and it set the value 100. Straightforward, just gets done. Next, I make on line 2 a new variable y position, and it is given the value x position. X position is currently 100, so y position is also going to get the value 100. And then I say x position is equal to y position plus 30. Well, that's going to be 100 plus 30. That'll be 130. So x position is now going to have the value 130. Next on line 4, y position is equal to y position plus 150. So y position is still 100, so I'm going to end up doing in my workspace here 100 plus 50, and that's going to be 150, which means that my y position at the end is going to be assigned the value 150. Cool. Let's keep going. There is a little bit more to be done with some sprite properties. This is what we were talking about at the beginning of the video, where you can hold on to multiple pieces of information, right? A sprite has an x and a y value. So here before, when it was just value, now this is really going to be, I'm going to have to make an extension. Let's insert a column to the right, and now we'll have x and y value. X and y value as we're moving on to sprites here. Okie dokie. All right, program number 5. So let's also get let's get a smiley face. Smiley face. Oh, actually, I can just use their smiley face here. Let me take a picture of this. Bada boom. Let's look at you. Make this. What? Why is this so large? I just want it to be a tiny window. Oh my goodness, this is not working as I wanted it to. What if I, whatever. So, in program 5, we have a variable named Smiley. It is equal to create sprite 100, 200. So, let's start doing it. The variable name is Smiley. Ooh, boy. The variable name is Smiley. Its x coordinate is 100. Its y coordinate is 200. And that is where we're at right now from line number 1. Line number 2, we do smiley.setAnimation smiley face. So actually, let's zoop this thing all the way over here. And we're going to have to add another column to the right. And it's going to be anim for the animation it's holding onto. And it's holding onto a smiley face animation, which would be, you know, this image that we have right here. And then it draws the sprites. And so it would draw at the coordinates, assuming these must be 50, at the coordinates, so 0, 50, 100, and then 200. 0, 50, 100, 150, 200. So that's where line 3 happened. We drew that first smiley face. On line 5, we say smiley.x. So we're going to go to smiley, dot x, this is where we're editing right now, is equal to smiley.x plus 50. So the smiley's x coordinate plus 50, so that was 100 plus 50. They're resetting this to 150. And then on line 6, we did draw sprites again. And now it's going to draw the smiley face at the coordinates 150, 200. So it was at 0, 50, 100, 150 would be the x coordinate here. And then down to 200 over here. This is the coordinates 150, 200. That's how we got this one to be created. So for number 6, let me zoom out here a tiny bit. We have one final thing that I want you to try. And so I'll leave this up so you can see the coordinates, 0, 50, 100, 150, and all that other stuff. And you're trying to follow this program so that, by drawing on the screen, maybe you want to draw a little grid on a piece of paper or something. And you're supposed to try and find the ending state for smiley x and smiley y after running through all of this program over here. Yeah, that's it for the video. There will be, the solution for the ending state will be given to you after you submit your answer for program 6. And then maybe on Monday, I'll just give like a little solution to this. But I feel like this video is already pretty long and I want to end it here. So thank you. Hopefully that was helpful a little bit. I realize now that this activity doesn't really go into loops at all yet. But that's okay. This is a cool place to end this video.